Hello guys, today we're watching a video about this system is designed to keep Gen Z poor. So, let's get into this right away.
There's this idea in America that poor people are poor because they're lazy, that if they just work harder, they'd be fine. But that's just not the truth. And I'm going to prove it to you with actual data, because here's the reality.
In Minecraft terms, just like, oh yeah, here's the laziness of Minecraft terms and yada yada yada. But he's not wrong though, I would say. It's depending on the person, no, really.
Poor is expensive, and being rich just makes you more rich. Poor people pay more for the same thing. They work harder for less. And the system is designed to keep them down while making it easier for wealthy people to build more wealth. This isn't
true, but that depends on the person they are selling it to. It depends on like whether or not you decide to save or just not save at all, because that's what you should do. You should always save for your future and stuff like that. You always, like, when you get a job, you don't like spend your money immediately once you get your first hourly pay or whatever pay you get, depending on what job you work for. But don't rely on like companies. Well, don't be like, oh, I'm poor. Just like actually have good spending skills with your life.
some conspiracy theory. This is documented reality. And today I'm going to walk you through a typical day in the life of a poor person versus a rich person and show you exactly how the system punishes poverty and rewards the wealthy. Let's start with just waking up. If you work a cushy, white-collar 9-to-5 work-from-home job, you can wake up at 8:55, get your 8 hours of sleep, probably even more, roll out of bed, go straight to your desk, zero commute time. But if you work at a restaurant, retail store, or any service job, you have to physically go there. And these jobs are often located in city centers where rent is extremely expensive. But the thing is, you're poor, so you probably live on the outskirts, which means you spend more time commuting. The average low income
because you mainly don't have time to do your free time when you get out of your job. You're normally just trying to rest and not do like other stuff. There's a theory of like, oh, if you do your big stuff first, then your small stuff, and then pour in sand, which is like the big stuff is like your job, your life, your family, yeah, whatever the fuck you're doing for your life. And small rocks are like small stuff to do, like small chores, like housework. You're just doing like small stuff for friends and family. And the sand is just to cover up like any like openings you have time for, like doing like watching a show, doing anything in your free time. And that's what. But mainly when you get a job, you mainly don't have time for that. But like, that's if you get like more than a 10-hour job. Like, if you don't do like a 9 to 5 job, you are more likely to not have your free time. And so if you do like the small stuff first, then you're more likely to have to put on the big stuff, but there's no room for the sand. But if you do the sand first and then small rocks, there's no room for big rocks. Well, that goes the same way. But if you do the big stuff first, you always have to do it, then the small stuff, and that yada yada yada. There's that theory, you could do that, but that theory actually does work, so.
worker in the US spends 42 minutes commuting to work. And yes, that 42 minutes is each way. So that's an hour and 24 minutes per day. In total, that's 7 hours a week, 30 hours a month, and 360 hours a year. That's 15 full days of your life spent sitting in traffic or on a bus, time you could be spending making money, learning a new skill, or just resting. And here's the funny thing, you actually have to pay to commute, which just exacerbates you even being in that worse situation. So if you're poor,
That's mainly if you go to places that makes you pay to do stuff. If you have to like go somewhere and you want to like go on vacation or anything else or buy stuff, you always have to pay. You always make sure you have to pay. You do not want to like skip stuff. Also, I'm trying to make this a bit quick because this is just a video, just a quick video to upload for YouTube. I'll make a thumbnail and then upload it, and after editing it and blah blah blah. But I'm going on vacation. If you did not see my TikTok post or are not in my Discord, I mentioned that. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Well, back to the video.
probably need a car because you can't afford a nice, new, reliable vehicle. So you buy an older used car, which seems cheaper up front, but it's actually way more expensive in the long run. Older cars break down more often. The average annual repair cost for a car older than 10 years is $1,200 to $1,500 per year. And the average total annual cost of car ownership is actually over $1,000 a month now. And some additional things that could impact that cost even further is insurance, fuel, and also maintenance depending on your vehicle, because some cars are more expensive than others. Older cars also have worse gas mileage. A 15-year-old car averages about 20 miles per gallon, when a new car is easily over 30 miles per gallon. So in effect, you're actually paying over $700 more per year just in gas because you can't afford.
You also forgot to add taxes and insurance. You always want to remember that part. There's always taxes and insurance involved with like older cars or newer cars. Doesn't matter. I'm already inside of insurance because of my mom, but but you always get automatically into like insurance if your parents allow that, or you mainly have to pay for that insurance. So you're more likely to be broke because of that. And other shit, like you have to pay like fines for like your car because you're paying like a car that also includes taxes. If your state has like federal tax, state tax, you're more likely to be more cooked with that. Depending on your state, most states don't have federal tax. Some states have like just federal tax. Just federal tax. So really, that's only you have to deal with. Really, federal tax. Just one tax system is better than two tax system because it's just going to make people more poor than make people more rich. In reality, you're not making them rich. You're just making them poor, and that's the problem with some states, depending on your state. But if you're in a different country, but your economy is shit, then yeah, that's more like you're living in Europe. But anyways,
the more efficient, newer car. You're paying more money in transportation just because you're poor. And then you can just be like, well, take the bus or public transportation. And we can easily talk about more public transportation because it is extremely underfunded in most American cities. The US spends about $82 per person per year on public transportation. Compare that to Germany, France, and the UK, which Germany's at $385, France is at $368 per year, and the UK is at $241. And because public transit in America is seen as for poor people, quote unquote, it doesn't get political support. It's super slow, it's unreliable, and often extremely late. Taking the bus to work can easily double your commute time. That 42-minute commute?
Well, that depends on the government, really. They don't really fund them because of like a lot of reasoning to it, because there's a bunch of problems with public transportation because they cause more traffic for people. Now, I do like public transportation. It gets more people who are like who got their their driver's license revoked. So if you don't know which is your real ID, so that. There's your, so if you want to vote and your state only allows you to vote for a real ID, there it is. But most, like, don't rely on public transportation for driving. If you rely on that, then you're more likely to cause more problems for it. It causes a lot of problems. I can see why people see it as for only poor people, but like if you are driving in a like Uber and like other stuff of like different transportation are already causing more traffic for it, like Uber, taxis, and that public transportation with buses, like school buses and metro buses, or different other buses that you see in like different countries. It causes more traffic, more problems, and stuff like that. So they don't really focus on them because they feel like it causes more problems to it than fixes the problem. So, yeah. Uh,
can actually turn into a 2-hour each way bus ride. So you're spending thousands of dollars per year on an unreliable car compared to getting a newer car. And you're also spending 3 to 4 hours per day commuting on slow, unreliable public transportation. Either way, it's a lose-lose.
Yeah, it's very slow because it's going to like multiple stops. That's because it's mainly in the cities. You rarely see metro buses in like towns. Like there's a metro bus like all the way down my area when I go on the school bus, and I always see the metro bus, but barely anyone goes on it. But there's some people who go on it, but that area is always like empty, and the metro bus always goes down there. But they, it's very very slow, and it goes to like different stops for like you're more likely not to go to your job, and you always have to call them to pick you up. So that's the problem with like metro buses. They always have to like stop at different stops, and they have routes area, and that causes more traffic. So most states include like bus lanes, so it does not, so people don't get into traffic with buses. But when that gets out of the bus lane, it will just cause more traffic because how big and wide buses, so it just causes more traffic. But I understand for buses for like in big airports, for like if you've been to California, there's a metro bus that's like very huge and has that weird middle thing where it is. But yeah.
Scenario. And this inadvertently affects the poor person compared to the rich person who can afford those luxuries. Okay, so you finally get to work. You get there pretty late because your car broke down or the bus was delayed, which is a very common thing in America. And now you're at the mercy of your boss, who knows you're in a bad spot, who knows you can't easily quit to find another job, and you're a low-wage worker. You essentially have zero bargaining power. And if your boss asks you to stay late, it's harder to refuse. If you ask for time off, it's more likely to be denied. By the Economic Policy Institute, 61% of low-wage workers report having no control over their work schedules. So in effect, you actually get last-minute shift changes. You can't plan out your week ahead. You can't take a second job or go to night classes because your schedule is so unpredictable. And if you try to object, your risk of getting fired is increased. And you can't afford to get fired because you live paycheck to paycheck. In reality, 78% of Americans actually say they live paycheck to paycheck. And over 42% of young Americans, so Gen Z, millennials, report having no spare savings after covering their basic life expenses. Meanwhile, wealthy people with stable salaries, they can negotiate. They can say no. They could demand better conditions, and they have leverage. All right, so now it's lunchtime. What are you going to eat? If you're working a white-collar, full-time meal prep and cook at home because you probably work remote or have some remote days or at least more flexibility. You can cook healthy meals in your nice kitchen with your nice dishwasher and your full-size fridge. But if you're working a low-wage job with unpredictable hours and long commutes, when do you have time to meal prep? So you buy food. And here's where it gets really expensive. Healthy food is more expensive than unhealthy food in America. According to Harvard School of Public Health Research, healthier diets cost more than 500.
Yeah, I would say that is true because I've eaten like at areas with like unhealthy habits, like McDonald's, Pizza Hut, any other unsafe areas, like Little Caesars, which is unhealthy as hell, and other areas. But there's been times I've eaten at areas with healthy habits, but that's really on the person who buys it because it's the only cheapest thing, and most people don't buy like pre like eatable meals for them. Like they don't buy stuff, like they don't understand cooking for themselves. Like I don't understand cooking for myself, so that's probably why they buy stuff for themselves. By like people who are cooking for them.
Dollars per year. Now, this is just a national average. Obviously, in other locations, it could cost even more depending on imports, what location you're in, where the nearest healthy food things are. And in neighborhoods of lower income, there actually aren't that many healthy food options. It's usually plagued with fast food franchises. So, in result, when you're more poor, you eat cheaper, unhealthier, fast food, more processed foods, and which in effect leads to health problems. In the poorest US counties, obesity rates are 145% higher than in wealthy counties. And those health problems are expensive, especially in America where we don't have universal health care or even just widely accessible health care. So you get cheap food because you can't afford healthy food. The cheap food makes you sick, and then you can't afford the medical bills that are being caused by your unhealthy living habits and situation. All right, so your work days.
Yeah, that's why you like make sure you eat like healthy foods, because that's why like you make food to yourself. You don't rely on like companies making you food, because there's times where you actually need to feed yourself for a time being. And healthy foods you are like stuff like fruits and vegetables, but like they could also make you like unhealthy too if you just rely on them. So that's why you always have to eat your fruit and vegetables and like other shit. And it's like really, it's just like people who eat unhealthy habits does that themselves. They choose it for themselves. They cause them it for themselves. They don't have a care for their own health, and that's why people don't like eat healthy anymore, because they already gave up on something they don't want anymore after. So
Done. You're heading back home on your 40 plus minute commute. Now let's talk about where you live. If you're poor, you can't afford to live in a new, well-maintained building with good insulation. You live in an older building, often in a worse neighborhood with higher crime.
there's mobile houses, but that's also getting expensive nowadays. But that depends where you live. Like if you live in like O Block, you're obviously cooked. But like if you live on like areas that are like very, very like low, like very bad on crime, basically bad on you, but it's on you, but kinda, because you should look into that before you move into the area. Even how cheap it is, you should not move. You always should look into it, even though if you're struggling. Just some advice.
rate, and you pay more for utilities because the building isn't well insulated or it isn't as efficient as the newer buildings. According to the Department of Energy, low-income households have an average energy burden of 6% of their income, which is 3 times higher than high-income households, and they only spend about 2%. And it's not that these households are actually even using more energy. They're actually even using less energy but are paying more in costs. And also, the lowest income households with the highest energy burden, they actually spend 15% of their income on energy costs. This isn't based on consumption, but it is based on where you live, the efficiency of your building or unit, because chances are in a lower efficiency rated place or more poor insulated, which heating and cooling are massive contributors to this. And not only that, your unit definitely doesn't have the greatest amenities. Like in-unit laundry, for example, in New York is a very big luxury. A dishwasher is also even a luxury in the city. So you spend more time doing those chores, time that you could be working or resting or making a healthier meal, but instead you have to pay to use the laundromat. If you do laundry, let's say once a week even, it could be $3 to $5 per load. If you support anybody else, you're probably doing laundry either twice a week or just doing more loads once a week, which can easily save you over $500 per year just to wash your clothes. Meanwhile, wealthy people have washers and dryers in their houses or units, zero extra cost, zero extra time.
Well, that's if your house includes a washing machine, and you can always buy it for yourself, but they're very expensive. So that's why there's places that like washing areas that are still open to this day. I'm surprised they're open because I feel like they don't really do coins anymore. They just do like cards nowadays, and they're a bit kind of expensive, but they're cheap still. But I wouldn't say they're cheap, and they're also expensive. But most of them just allows you to wash your clothes if you don't have a washer or a dryer in your house. Mainly, a lot of houses include washers and dryers, but that's if they work or not. So there's that problem. And you cannot fix it because you cannot afford someone to fix it. So there's also that problem. So, yeah. I can see what he is saying right here.
And where are all these additional costs even coming from? Well, it's coming from your bank account. We can even talk about banking between a low-income individual and a high-income individual, because even your bank account punishes you for being poor. According to recent data,
no, they mainly punish you if you literally rely on debt. Like if you rely on loans, they will actually take away a lot of your properties legally because you basically bought into them by loans. That's why you don't get loans or try to get loan sharks or do loan sharking, because they're pretty bad and pretty dangerous to deal with. That's why most people are in debt nowadays because of college, because of student debt or debt itself, and it owns so much that they can't even live in society and be able to afford a kid, or get married nowadays. So nowadays they're just in a dating relationship, but they have a last name of their boyfriend, basically. So it gets confusing with that shit. So yeah, I don't know. It's just
average overdraft fees at large financial institutions is around $27 to $35 per transaction. 23 million Americans pay overdraft fees in a given year. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, overdrafting is very easy. You could have rent on auto pay, or your auto insurance, or any utility, your phone bill, something is probably on auto pay. If you're paycheck or you have an unexpected cost coming up, boom, that's a $30 to $35 fee right there. Banks collectively make over $12 billion in overdraft fees in 2024. And
it's mainly because you are basically invested in that company. If you just keep relying on that company, you're more likely to not get money from them or put money in them. That's why there's limits for the company and what they do. But companies don't really care about like money. Well, I mean, there's some banking areas where they don't care about you. And if you are like you always have to look into banking areas too. Like you cannot skip what is going on with them or what they do for them. So it's also risky, but when they go into debt, they always rely on your money. So when they are almost broke, but they don't care about getting money from the government, they rely on your money, not and take away your money from your bank account. So if you're wondering, oh, why is my money going away? Not from for freeze, is because they're trying to pay off their debt from government shit.
To a poor person, this could be over $250 a year because poor people usually pay hundreds per year in fees. Rich people actually earn interest on their savings and they actually make more money, separating that divide even more. And this isn't something that's like self-inflicted. This is just living and necessities. I'm not saying they're buying something completely out of the ordinary. I'm covering an average low income individual versus a average high income individual. And here's where it can get really, really bad. If you're poor and you need to borrow money, you pay a way higher interest rate. Even the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, average credit card APRs have reached record highs. As of 2024, the average APR for credit cards were about 22.8%. And that's the highest level of this data point since 1994. And if you can't even get a credit card, some of them go to payday lenders, which is even worse because they can be up to $15 per $100, or it could be up to a 400% APR. For example, if you borrow $500, you're going to have to pay back over $2,000 over time. And that's a completely legal thing in America. Some states even allow 600% APR on these things, which is disgusting.
Damn.
Now, we can even talk about how rich people get richer. If you have money, you invest it, stocks, real estate, index funds. The average annual return is 7 to 10%. But if you're poor, you don't have money to invest. You're spending everything you earn just to survive. According to the Federal Reserve,
you can actually invest like into crypto and the stock market, but you're not like rich people because they can easily tell when stock market goes up or down, and it can sell anytime like you. But if you invest into like a retirement funding program, you cannot take out your money anymore. It stays in there forever. It doesn't until you feel like they don't get to take it out for like years until a certain age they feel like it. So your retirement fund could go into your kid. So until like 80 years it can come out, but most people can't live over 80, so your kid is more likely to have that retirement funding. And once they get it, they take basically your money, which is smart because that is what we should do, but most people don't do that anymore with their money.
Data. Stock ownership is extremely concentrated among the wealth. The top 10% of Americans own 93% of all stock market wealth. Meanwhile, 58% of Americans own stocks in some form.
Yes, workforces, 1% of like some percent of something of workforces own a part of the stock market. No one who is like no worker is into stock markets. They don't look into that because they know that it's too risky and they don't understand anything about stocks unless they're rich. So majority of rich people invest their money into stocks. Well, or own something into stocks.
but only the 10% have truly valuable holdings. And if you do manage to save and invest, you're investing small amounts. Your returns are also going to be small amounts. Meanwhile, wealthy people invest large amounts and watch their wealth compound. Here's a very simple example. Person A, who is poor, invests $100 per month for 30 years at 8%. That's only $140,000. Meanwhile, person B invests $1,000 a month for 30 years at 8%. That's $1.4 million due to compound interest. Person B ends up with 10 times more wealth, not because they're smarter, not because they worked harder, but because they had more money to start with. Now let's talk about the final trap, the bear trap that really catches you and actually is the number one cause of bankruptcy. If you're poor, you probably don't have good health insurance. Actually, 27 million people in America are completely uninsured. And if you have insurance, you probably have a high deductible, especially if you're lower income. According to 2019 study published in the American Journal of Public Health, medical problems contribute to 66.5% of all bankruptcies. That's about 530,000 families per year filing for bankruptcies due to medical illness. My family personally was actually affected by this back in 2008 or so when I was first diagnosed with Crohn's disease. That was because my family could not afford the massive medical bills we were receiving. There was even a portion of time where I actually didn't even have health insurance, but I still needed the medication to just stay alive. So what were we going to do? Were we just going to let me die, which obviously is not even a feasible thing to do? Or are we going to go into debt and file for bankruptcy just so I can get my medicine? And filing for bankruptcy is no cheap and easy option either. It can take years to even just accomplish this. And that stays on your credit report for over 7 years. And these are numbers after the Affordable Care Act, which the Affordable Cares Act didn't actually even fix the problem. And now we're actually even pulling back the Affordable Care Act to make it so now people are even more uninsured. So this problem is probably just going to exacerbate, to be honest. All meanwhile, wealthy people have premium insurance with low deductibles, or they just pay cash for medical care because they're either healthier and they don't have to worry about being in constant medical needs, or they are just so wealthy where they actually don't even need to have health insurance and they can actually afford to have cash to travel to low-cost countries to get procedures done. We see celebrities do this all the time. I think the most prime example is like Turkey with
most rich people just go to like countries like Europe because they allow free Medicare. So they just go to like different countries with like free Medicare. So they're able to like pay. So they're able to like cheat the system and not pay like massive amount of fines. So they don't go into like, sometimes they do that, but rarely use American Medicare unless it's very dangerous for them, like cancer. So they mainly don't pay into American Medicare fields unless it's for actual emergencies, because they aren't that rich. Well, I mean, they are that rich, but yeah.
Hair transplants now. So they stay healthier, which in effect saves them money long term. All of these struggles
are... because rich people eat like small amount of food. If you see like rich food, it's literally just a small food. It's basically like very small. It's just like small amount of food. You get like small food, like random food. Like if you've seen like a video from like a guy who reviewed like different food places, and he went to like a rich food area, and I think he did like a 5-star areas, and he ate there, and they gave him like random different foods because you don't have to order food, they give it to you because you're rich, so they expect you to eat the food because you're rich. So you eat that food, but it's just like basically like on one meal you basically have like 2 foods. Like you have like a fish egg, and I'm not lying, you eat fish eggs, like cooked fish eggs, I believe, that they give you. Oh my god. But they give you like food that makes you like unhealthy, that is unsafe for humans to eat. But I don't really understand for like food for like rich people, why they eat small amounts, but it's like so, but it looks good, but it's like so healthy for you that they stay skinny for a long time, and they don't have any issues, so they don't contain like, like factors because of their health. So when they pass on their genes, there's less likely of like them getting chromosomes, diarrhea, cancer, any blood disease. Like, if you can think of anything, you are more likely to not eat from that. I mean, eat from those. So, yeah. Enough of me yapping. Let's go back to the video.
Visible to most people. When rich people work hard and succeed, it's celebrated. Look at this self-made billionaire. They worked 80-hour weeks. But when poor people work hard and still struggle, they're called lazy. Why don't you just get a better job? Why don't you just save more money? They are working hard. Probably harder than most rich people even. They're commuting 3 hours a day. They're working unpredictable schedules. They're paying extra for everything. Transportation, food, housing, banking, debt even. They're getting up at 5 a.m. to catch the bus, working a full shift, coming home at 8 p.m. doing laundry by hand. Meanwhile, prepping with no time or energy, and then doing it all again.
Yeah, I would say kind of by hand, but that depends if they do not have a washer in their house. So, yeah.
The next day. That's hard work. That's exhausting. It's the daily hassle and struggle, but it's completely invisible to most because it doesn't result in wealth. So society assumes it doesn't exist. This isn't a series of unfortunate coincidences. This is all by design. The system is designed to extract money from the poor people and transfer it to the wealth people. That is capitalism. Banks collected over $12 billion in overdraft fees in 2024 from people who can't afford them.
And you know what sucks? This system actually works for some people, but it works. But I don't know why it works so well for taxing and stuff like that. It's like, it's sad to see it works, but like, it's the reality, because stuff like socialism and communism never worked in our society. But the reason why capitalism sucks now is because it's an old system from the Cold War. Same with communism and socialism. That goes for the same for people who believe in Democratic Socialism Party. It won't work for your belief, but really, it just so, I don't know. There's some systems that just have like a two system that like has both capitalism and communism, but socialism, but it feels like it does not work because it will just make the government poor, and it's just gonna make people poor, and it's gonna make people starve. So, yeah, that's why it does not work for like sharing and equal.
Payday lenders charge over 400% in interest to people who have no other options. Corporations lobby after tax loopholes that save them billions while cutting social programs to help the poorest of people. And every time someone proposes raising the minimum wage or expanding healthcare or funding public transport, which is one of the massive things that I am so advocating for, because oh my God, it's underfunded in America. I hate that we designed the car economy. I hate that we praise the car economy. But overall, we can afford $757 billion on defense. We can afford trillions in tax cuts for the wealthy. Yes, trillions in tax cuts for the wealthy. It's all about priorities. And the priority right now is protecting the wealthy, not reducing poverty or making a wide scale change in everybody's daily life. Why aren't we making life easier and happier for our citizens? It's because they genuinely don't care. Now, this is not one of your average doomer videos. I'm actually going to give you practical solutions to reduce this burden, or what I like to call it, the poverty tax. So the first thing I would want to advocate for is switching to a no fee or a low fee bank that doesn't charge overdraft fees at all. Capital One is one, Ally Bank, I know Chime has it, and there's many credit unions that have eliminated overdraft fees entirely. You can set up low balance alerts on your phone.
Yeah, that's why you always have to look into them. That's why you always have to look into banking. You always have to look into what the banking is. You don't just like, oh, I'm going to go into this banking immediately off the bat. You don't go into the banking right away after like watching one ad they did. Because you watched one ad doesn't mean you actually have to do that. Don't do that. You're an idiot for that. I'm sorry, you're an idiot if you do that though. But like, don't do that. Look into it. Don't automatically go into that banking because they say they are good. Most banking areas aren't good because most banking just lie to you so they can make money because they don't actually have good funding. What is this? Sorry, I saw hair on my PC, I think. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Don't make sure you always have to look into your banking. Don't force yourself to. Don't listen into the ads. Make sure you always like look up on your phone. Like, oh, is this banking like good or bad? Like this. Oh, is this banking good or bad? Like that shit. Like blah blah blah. Make sure you always look into your banking. That is advice for y'all. Make sure you look into them and make sure they are trustworthy and good for you. But don't rely on um getting like debt for yourself. Don't do that, please. Always save and do the right stuff. Back to the video.
Banks let you get text notification when your balance drops below a significant amount. This can help you avoid overdraft fees before they even happen. If you have an account with overdraft fees, call your bank and ask them to waive the most recent fee. Seriously, if it's your first time or if you have a decent relationship with your bank or like you're a long-standing customer, they'll often reverse it if you just ask.
Oh,
or you can even open a separate...
Wait, bro, I'm going off topic. Yo. Nah. No. Don't cheat, bro. No. Bro is cheating on his own rules. I'm joking. I don't give a fuck, but that is crazy. Second. Yo, you should have cut that out. I'm sorry. You should have cut out. I'm sorry. Cut that shit out. You should have cut that shit out. This is actually so stupid.
Customer, they'll often reverse it if you just ask. Or you can even open a separate checking account just for bills. Transfer the exact amount you need for rent, utilities, etc. and keep the rest in a different location. This prevents auto payments from overdrafting your main account. If you are buying a used car, make sure you are getting a highly reliable vehicle. Make sure it's not completely out of budget. And honestly, do not lease a car. Leasing a car is one of the worst financial things you could probably do for yourself.
People are stupid with that, and people don't understand how to get money from, like, they don't understand like how the system works. It's very hard to understand, but also very easy to understand how like money management works and how to get your money correctly. I can get notifications.
To do is looking for pre-owned or certified pre-owned vehicles from dealerships. They cost a bit more than the regular used cars, but they come with warranties that cover most major repairs for the first few years.
Yeah, we own a used car, and it was not expensive, but it's cheap. Well, my mom does, but yeah. It's make sure you always buy own used cars because they're cheaper than non-used cars, because I always advise you to buy used cars. Don't buy like old fragile cars that have been used so many times where it's broken down and it's too broken to be even used anymore. Don't buy that. You're at a wrong dealership. Go to like a right dealership. I don't care if the dealership is the only dealership you have for you, but make sure you always look into that dealership, and if it's the right dealership, you can buy a car there.
You can even join a credit union before and get a pre-approval before you go to the dealership,
Yeah.
which often have lower interest rates on auto loans.
Yeah,
There's a ton of Reddit threads out there that actually save you probably thousands of dollars over your
Reddit
lifetime of the loan and tens of thousands
they're
over your
all
life in just interest, because people literally have thought everything through for you. And these requirements are not crazy. It's probably like $10 to open an account at a credit union.
Yeah.
Okay, just write that $10 as a loss, and then you get a lower interest rate for the life of the loan. Make sure you're also getting quality gas for the car that you are using. A lot of gas stations, which actually in my area, this happened a lot. And this is actually, there's articles about it all over the place. They were actually filling up their gas or kind of cutting their gas with cheaper, lower cost liquids or materials. So your car would be filled up more, quote unquote, but it would actually damage your engine. And they got sued for it and a lot of them closed. So I like to go to kind of verifiable brands like your Exxons or your Shells or your Mobile, I don't even know what it's called, gas stations. Those secondhand gas stations that have like,
yeah, just like normal gas stations like Speedway, 7-Up, 24/7, or any other gas stations that you normally see. Not like some run down gas station that says they're we are a new gas station. They're normally not trusted. Even though they're just a small gas station, you have to like be able to make sure you trust them, because you don't know if they have murder intent or where.
like no name to it, and it's just like some local thing owned by some random dude.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You have to trust on like unknown, like you have to make sure you trust that type of, like they mainly are open in like the middle of nowhere, like where like you never seen like where Speedway or 7-Up ever be at, or like your like normal areas. Like you cannot trust like local, like a small business of a gas station, because normally their oil isn't like actually good oil, because oil is very expensive to buy in different states. Unless you live in Texas. So yeah, there's that.
Even though they might be a nice person, it might be a cheaper spot. Chances are it's probably not the cleanest source of gas, or it's cut with something.
Yeah, most old areas, like if you've been to like a abandoned gas station, most of their oil is like very dangerous to even put in your car. Even if it's abandoned, the oil is never taken out. They forget about the banking that funds those type of small ones, are never taking out the oil. So most of the oil is just abandoned, and they just like, they're never taken out, and the ground gets it back, but it's not where it belongs. So when it gets into embedded in the ground, and it's inside like metal, so when the metal rots away, it gets inside of the oil, so it gets dangerously in the oil, and most companies don't put, and most small gas stations never fix that.
To make it that much cheaper. If public transit is an option, do the math. If it takes you longer to get there, calculate how much you're spending on car payments, insurance, gas, parking, and maintenance, because sometimes the bus is actually cheaper when you account for all those costs, including your time. Yeah. For example, I used to own a car when I lived in New Jersey. I still own that car, but I gave it to another family member. But now I just rely off public transportation because I moved to the city. So I take the MTA, I take the Metro North, or I take NJ Transit if I do need to go back to Jersey for something. Public transportation is a great option and honestly is very cheap, but I know not a lot of cities in America actually fund this. Like we said earlier, it's very underfunded here. There's actually probably no other walkable city other than New York in the United States where you actually don't have to own a car. But if that option is available for you, look into it and see how that will work. For food, you can try meal prep on your days off, cook larger.
Yeah, the most trafficked city in America, like, bro, no. if you live in New York City, that's terrible. Like, obviously, traffic is more worse because of traffic. It's traffic. It's
batches
terrible.
of rice,
Terrible.
beans, chicken, or whatever you can afford in bulk. Even just 2 to 3 hours on a Sunday can give you meals for the entire week. You can make simple taco bowls that are literally chicken, rice, beans, or you can even use refried beans to give it more flavor and a little bit of pre-made seasoning. You don't even have to learn how to season. There are pre-made seasonings out there that taste amazing for meal prepping. Look for sales
Yeah, there's like, yeah, bro's talking about pre-meals seasoning, acting like there isn't like there's already. You can just buy them off of grocery stores or your local gas station near you, like a Subway. I mean, Speedway or 24/7. Or, yeah. But,
when you can, digital coupons. Buy frozen vegetables instead of fresh. They're just as nutritious, they're cheaper, and don't go bad as fast.
yeah, frozen vegetables. Although, like, frozen foods, too. Like, you're forgetting about frozen foods. You're also forgetting about, like, other factors, like meat. Like, you cannot survive off of, like, just fruits and vegetables. You need meat to, like, keep your bone structure better, your body structure better, and you also need, like, other factors to eat better, like vitamins and stuff like that. So you're also forgetting that part, and it's like, don't you, like, I get it, like, food nowadays, like, don't go to the unhealthy areas. They are always unhealthy, and they don't give you the right nutritious that you need. But yeah,
If you qualify using local food assistance programs, there might be food stamps available for you or even local food banks, especially
don't. I would never use food stamp. A food. I feel like food stamps are literally CIA made. Like what? Food stamps? Well, so good to be true. Like what the hell? They're cheap, but like they make stuff cheaper. Like say like it's basically like a coupon this, like this type of coupon, or just a small card like this, or like this. Like they're basically like that, but like they just make food like cheaper for you, and that's really it for food.
around the holidays, there are so many programs that give out free turkeys and they don't even ask for proof of income. If you really can't
Yeah, there's like areas like if you are a religious person, there's like churches. There's like churches that are open. Like you can look them up. I'm not gonna look them up for for y'all, but you can look them up for yourself and find like churches that are like open to give you free food, and they do that because they feel like people who are poor need food, so they are more likely to give you food. Like there's areas like that will give you food for free.
afford a turkey on the holidays, get one from one of these free programs. If you are a renter, make sure the energy efficient grading of the building is something you keep in mind. Or in order to just make your unit specifically better, if it is charged per unit, some are building wide, some are charged per unit, whatever, install weather stripping or a better insulation that you can actually control. Or if you actually even own your unit, get more efficient appliances. Or go to the hardware store and get insulation kits for the winter. There's even weather stripping that will actually keep the cooling or heating
Yeah,
more.
there's like heaters I believe you can buy, or a fan. You can buy fans or heaters that have a cooling one and a heating one for like the seasons, like spring, summer, and winter. Well, spring, summer, fall, and winter. Cause yeah,
inside your place. There's also programs out there for your state that have wait lists for subsidized housing. Even if you don't need it yet, the wait list can be years long, so it's better to be on the list. Like for example, I'm on that list for my home state. Do I qualify for it? No, but at least I'm on the list, so just in case I do experience...
Am I qualified? No. Okay, that sounded rude for me laughing there, but yeah, that was actually kind of funny.
Job loss or income loss. I can actually be on that wait list or be qualified faster than somebody who's joining on that wait list who's qualified now. Something I did was look for roommate situations. Instead of just cheaper rent, look for a roommate. Try splitting it 2 or 3 ways.
Oh yeah. That is a smart idea. You can always look for like houses that allows roommates. So you buy a house that allows you to have a roommate, but there's a risk of having an opposite gender, and yeah, if you know what I mean, yeah, there's that factor, but yeah.
Depending on your situation and needs. And if you have credit card debt, call your credit card company and ask for a lower interest rate. Tell them you've been offered lower rates elsewhere. They'll often reduce it just to keep your business. You can even look into balance.
yeah, they literally, that's what most companies do. That's what T-Mobile does. If you tell them, oh, I'm gonna stop using your payments, they're going to be like, oh wait, we're gonna fix this. Please don't leave us. That's what they do. They suddenly care about you once you like say something like that, because they want you to pay off their debts. So yeah, they need you.
I'll transfer credit cards with 0% intro APR. You can transfer high interest debt and have around 18 months to pay it off without interest. This buys you time while you're trying to get into a better situation. Just make sure you actually pay it off before the promotion period ends, or you can even use another balance transfer promotion and buy yourself even more time. So you can buy 36 months in total. If you're using payday loans, just stop it. I know it's hard, but try to find payday alternative loans that are actually capped at like 28% instead of 400%, which 28% is still extremely high. I would just consider stop trying to use that altogether. There's also nonprofit credit counseling. There's organizations out there that offer free debt consulting that can actually help you negotiate with creditors. This is something very more niche, and I know it's harder and has a lot more friction to start, but it's just another option out there. Now, if you are in the situation to actually even start building wealth, if your employer offers a 401k match, contribute at least enough to get that full match. It's literally free money, even if it's just 3 to 5% of your paycheck. And also make sure you have a high yield savings account. This is a bare minimum account that I think everybody should own. First of all, a lot of the balance options are starting at $0. For example, Capital One offers a completely free savings account. And also during
is this turning into a Capital One app? Just a random sponsor of like Capital One is the best banking. Like, there's other good bankings besides Capital One. I would say Capital One is good, but there's like Chase Bank and other banking that are good. But like, make sure you always look into them again. I have to say
interest rate times, they actually give you 4 to 5% in interest. Now it's down to like 3.5 or 3.3 right now, but a traditional bank gives you 0.01%. And if you do have even more money additional on top of that, start micro investing with apps like Acorn or Robinhood or Fidelity or
like I said, like with crypto. You can invest in crypto. Like, that's basically investing into crypto anyway. So yeah.
Vanguard. Even $5 to $10 per week adds up over time with compound interest. If you get a tax refund, instead of spending it, put it straight into savings or investments, or adjust your withholdings so you get more money in each paycheck instead of a lump sum at tax time. For health insurance, if you don't have insurance, look into Medicaid. The income limits are higher than you think, especially if you have kids. You can use community healthcare centers for primary care. They charge on a sliding scale based on income. And if you have medical debt, call the hospital billing department and ask about financial assistance programs. You can also even negotiate these bills down. If you ask for an itemized bill, they will often just lower the amount without you even directly asking for a lower amount. Also, many hospitals have charity care, or financial assistance programs. They will reduce or eliminate bills for low-income patients altogether if you just ask. Also, for prescription discounts, there are many out there. I know GoodRx is like the main one. I know Amazon also has a pharmacy thing now, and there's also the Mark Cuban pharmacy. If you just search that up, you'll find it. That gives you cheaper prices than your insurance copay usually. Obviously, that depends on your insurance and the quality of your insurance. So look in.
Yeah, it depends on the insurance. It depends on like how good the insurance and how reputational they are, and whether or not they have a good acceptance ratings for when you get into that type of insurance when you need it for like medical bills and stuff like that. Like when you get like heart surgery or any type of surgery you need for your body, um like lungs, kidney, well, any kidneys, um your your um anything you donate to that person. If you're like a donor and you get in a car crash and there's no way to save you, they can donate your lungs no matter what, like your heart, your lungs, your anything that can get taken away for free.
To that. And
That's if you get a match to someone that is matchable to your body or anything. You can also donate blood, but they look into what type of blood you are, so they can donate to the right person. So yeah, because if they put in the wrong type of blood, like if they're AB, they basically can have O blood, but if they're O blood, they cannot have AB or A or B blood. If you're A blood, you can have AB or AO or B, and that goes the same for B blood type. There's different type of bloods you can have.
compare the cost. And I just want to get this out there too. The most important thing is that none of this is actually your fault. The system is designed this way. They don't teach it in schools. Parents don't teach it to their children.
Yeah, they don't teach you this because they think you might figure it out on your own. They trust you to do it on your own, but the reason why they don't do that because they don't care. The only people that they do that for is like people with autism, and I have autism. It's a factor. I got diagnosed with autism, but people who are with autism, they get that special treatment of knowing what taxes and how to save your money and how to do what um adulthood. So yeah.
And I think obviously a lot of people are waking up to this, that I'm hoping that's why you found this video, or that's why you're watching this video, is to prevent being in such a bad situation, or to just be more aware of what's going on out there. But you cannot wait on the system to change because it's probably not going to. You have to survive in it while we work to fix it. And these strategies won't make you rich. They're not going to make you the ultra wealthy, but they can reduce the
Yeah, that's why you need to save on like shit. You need to always save. You cannot just keep relying on just like debt and what your family can do to help you. You cannot just rely on that. You're always going to need to do shit on your own. You cannot just rely on like others to do stuff for you. So that's why you like always try to get help.
poverty tax you're paying. It can give you a little bit more breathing room or a little bit more time until you figure something else out. And sometimes the breathing room is a difference between surviving and drowning. So yes, being poor is expensive and being rich just makes you richer. This isn't about laziness. This is about the system that punishes poverty and rewards the wealthy. Poor people work harder, pay more, and get less. Rich people work less, pay less, and get more. And until we acknowledge that, until we stop pretending that poverty is a moral failing, nothing is going to change. I'm not saying rich people didn't work hard. Some did, some absolutely do not. But the hard work.
Yeah, they did work like a job. Like I've seen photos of like rich people before they got rich. The reason why they got rich is because they had the money to make their own business. So once they got their own businesses, they try their best to not get other people better businesses. But there are some businesses that allow you to buy into their business and open your own. It's basically the same business, but you own it, but you do not have like um the control over like what gets sold. You don't get control over like the product you need, or have control of like basically no ownership. You buy into that and you own your own. They basically help you where to put your location at, where they basically look into areas that have like high rates for it, or how good they are, and how easy it is to like fund it for yourself. They always find areas for you for that, but they're very expensive to buy into. So it's risky to buy
Work they do is recognized and rewarded. The hard work poor people do is invisible and actually even punished. And that's the difference. And if you found this video valuable, let me know in the comments what you found valuable specifically. And if you have your own experiences with the poverty tax, share them, because these conversations matter and it can help somebody in a similar position or who was in a similar position than you just years ago. I'd like to frame it as talking to my younger self. That's how I want you to frame your comment. Talk to your younger self. Give tips and insights that will help save somebody else from a bad situation. And that's exactly the community I'm trying to build on my Discord. We have over 2,300 members in the Discord working to better their everyday lives. And that's what I'm trying to build right now, is a community of builders instead of complainers, because the internet and YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, the algorithms are filled with these doomers. Let's build a system and
No, TikTok is just hell in general. TikTok is just pure brain rot. I'm not joking. I can show you one video I have shaved. It's always just like so brain numbing when you're on TikTok. It's like so like, oh god. It's like whenever someone says burger or some shit, it's like I'm getting flashed out on my head. Like, god damn. Hold on. I can try to see. I can just look it up. Burger meme.
Apparently this is the best burger and...
What is the best burger? 10 out of 10.
This is the best burger. Burger! I'm sorry. Did you say that his last name?
Is what I mean. That's what I mean. TikTok is pure hell. Sorry if anyone has epilepsy or deal with that, but like, god damn, it's like pure hell. Like, oh my god, that's what TikTok has become now. It's just become like so hell. It's like so stupid. Like, I can't with this generation. It's so stupid. Like, I'm 18 right now and I don't have a job. I'm trying to get a job, but like, god damn, it's like so like, I hate it. It's so stupid. It's funny, but it's so stupid.
Community of people trying to build better lives instead of just complaining about it. And if you want to support the channel even further, if you're in the situation to support the channel further, there's a buy me a coffee link in the description down below, which
You're talking about like how capitalism sucks and how it abuses the poor people. You're talking about like how like yo bro yo, I'm sorry. You're basically just became like them. You're just like saying like, oh, you should buy into this shit. You should buy into this coffee. Hold on.
do accept memberships or donations, and obviously those are completely optional.
Membership.
But if you have the
yo, that's basically like a subscription makes you pay monthly. It takes your money away monthly, and you're talking about like how poor people are getting cheated by the system. You're using that exact system that you are hating on. That's hypocritical. I'm sorry. If you're just going to say something like that on a video about this, don't, bro. Don't do that, bro. I'm sorry. You're just like, oh my god. You should not say, oh, you should pay into this subscription if you agree with this shit. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Means to do so,
Let's
you can go and
finish it.
check that out there. But overall, if you just enjoyed this video and you made it this far, click the like button and subscribe. That is all you need to do. And that is all I'm going to ask from you today. And that will be it. We will talk again soon. And I hope you
Yeah, I like that video. I like that already. You also know. But that's like, the ending was just so stupid. It was like, oh my god, it was like, it made no sense, but like, you're basically using that exact system by promoting. Just imagine at the end of my video, I just say, oh, well, make sure you go down the subscription and buy my own. Oh my fucking god. No fucking way. Yo, bro. No. Yo, this is actually so terrible for you. You're talking about how the system is being used on poor people, and you're using that exact same thing for membership. Oh my god, it's so hypocritical. Oh my god, like I know you uploaded this video, which makes it a bit I don't fucking know. This is so stupid. Oh my fucking god. This is so I can't, bro, I'm gonna check the comments. Recently hired boomer says start business in your parent garage. Bro, we couldn't afford the garage. No. People, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. People really don't stress the food thing enough. I went to work on empty stomach today and almost passed out. Yo, I'm sorry, that's unhealthy. You should actually eat. There's only 2 classes economically: those who can afford to pay less and those who can't afford to pay less for the same thing. Exactly, bro. It's because people don't save. Old people. La. I can't hear you. The reminder that having a washer and a dryer is privilege needs to be screened at some of our old people here. Gen Z may be the first generation in modern history that works full time yet still can't realistically afford to own their own home or make a family. Yeah, because they can't. Because they don't save. We don't really save. We don't understand savings. But yeah, it's so stupid. It kind of was hypocritical at the end, but don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, that was a fun video to watch. Anyways, I'm done.